Welcome to Max Asian. Among so many famous releases, these gems unfairly went unnoticed. Today I'm presenting 14 underrated K-dramas that deserve all your attention right now. If you're tired of always watching the same thing, give these incredible stories that flew under the radar a chance. From rugby dramas to romances in the afterlife, morally complex thrillers, and youth comedies that are going to steal your heart. But before starting the video, it would help me a lot if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your kind support. Number 14. The Winning Try. Ju Garam used to be a rugby player who was the hope of Korean rugby. He had talent and star potential, but a doping scandal absolutely ruined everything. Years later, he lives completely isolated and barely functioning until he's dragged back to his old high school to coach a rugby team that literally always ends up in last place. Once he's there, the universe forces him to face everything he left behind. A principal who still believes in him, an ex-girlfriend who's now an archery coach at the same school, and a whole squad of chaotic kids who don't have the slightest idea why they should care about rugby. The story is basically his battle toward nationals, trust issues, health scares, guilt, and forgiveness. Some dramatic moments stretch too long, but the relationship between Garam and the kids feels genuine, and the team's transformation is completely believable. Number 13. Heavenly Ever After. Lee Hae-suk is an 80-year-old woman who just passed away. Since her husband's accident, she has supported her family alone, working hard her whole life. When she first arrives at the Heaven Admission Counseling Office, Hae-suk makes a strange choice. She decides to keep her 80-year-old appearance for her afterlife. Her husband's loving comments that she was beautiful at all ages had an impact on this decision. The shock comes when Hae-suk and her husband, Ko Nak-jun, reunite in heaven, but he appears in his 30-year-old self. Turns out, Hae-suk is the only person in heaven who has decided not to return to her younger self. Meanwhile, Nak-jun works as a mailman in heaven, delivering letters of good wishes from Earth. There are trips to hell, dogs and cats, crossing the rainbow bridge, becoming humans, winning lottery numbers, and reincarnation. The drama perfectly balances the emotional with moments of tenderness. The premise is original, and the performances accurately convey the weight of a love that transcends death. Number 12. The Defects. This story follows Kim Se-hee, a highly respected doctor, but publicly unknown is that she's also the head of an illegal adoption organization. Kim Se-hee has a twisted belief that only superior genes should survive. In the case of a child who is adopted through her illegal operation and doesn't meet the adoptive parents' expectations, the group provides a free refund for a certain period of time. When a child is returned, the organization kills them to destroy evidence of their crime. Kim Ah-hyun was one of the returned girls, but dramatically survived. Now she is the leader and spiritual supporter of the surviving children who go against Kim Se-hee for survival and revenge. The story is absolutely sharp and tense, full of survival missions and revenge plans that feel completely earned. The pacing never drops, the found family dynamic among the children is genuine, and Yum Jung-ah delivers a cold, elegant, and genuinely unsettling villain performance. Number 11. Oh My Ghost Clients. This story follows Moo-jin, a lawyer who only cares about money and fame on YouTube, until one day he suddenly starts seeing ghosts after a near-death experience. These ghosts are all wrongfully deceased people who need legal help to solve their cases before they can cross over. At first, Moo-jin only wants to use them for viral content, but slowly their stories start affecting him, and he begins to genuinely care about justice. The show balances comedy and heart really well. The ghost cases range from heartbreaking to absurd, and the main character's growth from selfish influencer to someone who actually gives a damn is satisfying to watch. It's not groundbreaking, but it's fun, warm, and emotionally effective when it needs to be. Number 10. Low Life. This is a crime noir throwback set in the late 70s that follows two scammers working the underground gambling scene in Seoul. One is a smooth-talking card shark, the other is a math genius who can calculate odds in seconds. They team up to take down corrupt casino owners and crime bosses, but their biggest problem is they can't stop double-crossing each other. The period setting is nailed perfectly, the fashion and music are on point, and the scams themselves are clever and fun to watch unfold. The chemistry between the two leads is electric. full of tension and betrayal, but also genuine respect. It's stylish, fast-paced, and morally messy in the best way. If you like shows like Casino or Narcos for their slick criminal energy, this one's for you. Number 9. Spirit Fingers. Song Woo-yeon is a shy and invisible girl who has spent her whole life dimming herself down. Then she stumbles into a quirky art club called Spirit Fingers, full of misfits who express themselves through guerrilla street art, and everything shifts. She starts discovering her own voice, her own style, and her own confidence. There's also a romance with a quiet, brooding guy who sees her when no one else does, but the real love story here is Woo-yeon falling in love with herself. The art sequences are gorgeous, the friend group feels authentic and supportive, and the message about self-acceptance never feels preachy. It's a gentle, colorful, hopeful show that reminds you it's okay to take up space. Perfect for anyone who loved the vibe of True Beauty or Extraordinary You, but wanted something a bit more artsy and indie. Number 8. The Haunted Palace. In this story, we meet Yo-ri, a reluctant shaman who wants nothing to do with the supernatural and literally just wants to sell herbal medicine in peace. But when she accidentally wakes up a sleeping prince's spirit inside a cursed royal palace, she gets dragged into a chaotic mystery involving ancient curses, political intrigue, and a romance that spans lifetimes. The prince is charming, stubborn, and completely out of touch with modern life, which leads to a lot of comedy. But underneath the humor, there's real emotional weight about unfinished business, regret, and second chances. The historical flashbacks are beautifully shot, the chemistry between the leads is fantastic, and the blend of comedy, romance, and supernatural mystery is perfectly balanced. If you loved Alchemy of Souls or Hotel del Luna, this one hits a similar sweet spot. Number 7. Love, Take Two. This is one of those quiet countryside stories that never asks for attention but ends up taking all your heart. It follows a burned-out city screenwriter who moves to a small coastal village to escape a failing career and a broken engagement. There she meets a divorced single dad running a small bookstore, and they slowly, carefully start to trust each other again. There's no melodrama, no love triangles, just two people learning that healing isn't linear and love doesn't have to be perfect to be real. The pacing is slow and intentional, the scenery is stunning, and the supporting cast of quirky villagers adds warmth without feeling cartoonish. It's the kind of show you watch when you need something gentle, honest, and emotionally grounding. Think Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha meets Our Blues, but quieter and more introspective. Number 6. Undercover High School. Everything begins when Jong Hae-seong, an elite NIS field agent, goes from operative superstar to being forced into early retirement after a mission goes sideways. Desperate to stay relevant, he volunteers for the most humiliating assignment imaginable, going undercover as a high school student to investigate a conspiracy tied to a powerful politician's son. Hae-seong is 35, completely out of touch with teen culture, and has to navigate school hierarchies, social media drama, and actual math homework while secretly gathering intel. The comedy comes from him being hilariously bad at blending in, but the action sequences are genuinely intense, and the mystery gets darker and more personal as it unfolds. The student cast is charming and surprisingly well developed, and watching a grown man struggle with TikTok dances and group projects never stops being funny. It's like if moving had less superpowers and more comedy, or if 21 Jump Street was a K-drama. Number 5. Way Back Love. Hee-won is a 24-year-old recluse drifting through life until her childhood friend and first love, Jae-hyun, dies in a sudden accident. Completely shattered, she finds an old mixtape he made for her back in high school, and when she plays it, she's somehow transported back to her 17-year-old self. Now she has a chance to relive those years, knowing exactly how it ends. The show explores grief, regret, and the painful question of whether you'd change the past if you could, even knowing it might erase the person you became. The romance is bittersweet and beautifully acted, the time travel logic is emotional rather than technical, and the ending doesn't take the easy way out. It's only 6 episodes, but it packs a serious emotional punch. If you loved Someday or One Day or See You in My 19th Life, this one will wreck you in the best way. Number 4. The Witch. Dongjin is a data analyst who once had a classmate everyone called a witch because of her icy demeanor and rumored ability to curse people. Years later, he runs into her again, and she's completely different. Warm, kind, almost unnervingly cheerful. But weird things start happening around her. People get hurt in strange ways, and Dongjin starts to suspect there might be truth to the old rumors. The show plays with the question of whether she's actually supernatural or just deeply misunderstood, and the ambiguity is handled brilliantly. The romance is slow burn and layered with mistrust and fascination. The mystery keeps you guessing until the very end, and the performances are restrained and magnetic. It's moody, atmospheric, and way smarter than it needed to be. If you liked My Demon or Alchemy of Souls but wanted something more grounded and psychological, this is it. Number 3. The Art of Negotiation. In this story, we meet Yoon Juno, a legendary mergers and acquisitions fixer nicknamed the Closer, because once he's on a deal, it's done. He's ruthless, brilliant, and completely untouchable, until a hostile takeover he's working on uncovers corruption that ties back to his own past. Suddenly, he's caught between loyalty to his clients, his moral code, and a whistleblower who happens to be his estranged daughter. The show is a masterclass in corporate tension, full of boardroom warfare, backroom deals, and moral compromises that feel devastatingly real. The dialogue is sharp, the pacing is relentless, and the performances are top tier across the board. It's not flashy or action-heavy, but if you love shows like Reborn Rich or Succession for their brutal corporate drama, this one delivers hard. Number 2. Walking on Thin Ice. Kang Yoon-soo is an exhausted single mother whose entire life flips the second a bag of drug money literally falls on her doorstep. She knows she should turn it in, but rent is due, her daughter needs surgery, and the system has failed her at every turn, so she keeps it. And that one choice spirals into a full-blown descent as she gets pulled deeper into the criminal underworld, making increasingly desperate decisions to protect her daughter. The show is unflinching in how it portrays her moral collapse. There's no glorification, just consequences. The tension is suffocating, the stakes feel brutally real, and the performance by the lead actress is devastating. It's dark, uncomfortable, and impossible to look away from. If you love Breaking Bad or The Glory for their moral complexity and slow burn intensity, this one hits just as hard. Number 1. The Dream Life of Mr. Kim. Kim Nak-soo is a loyal, hard-working mid-level manager who thinks he finally made it until the company he's dedicated his entire life to suddenly goes bankrupt. Overnight, he loses his job, his savings, and his sense of identity. The show follows him as he navigates unemployment, shame, strained family relationships, and the crushing realization that loyalty doesn't guarantee security. But it's not a tragedy. It's quietly hopeful. Nak-soo slowly starts discovering what he actually wants, not what he was told to want, and begins rebuilding his life on his own terms. The pacing is meditative, the tone is melancholic but never depressing, and the acting is so naturalistic it feels like a documentary. There's no big plot twists, no romance subplot, just a deeply human story about finding meaning after everything falls apart. If you loved My Mr. or Misang for their emotional honesty and quiet devastation, this one will stay with you long after it ends. And that was all for today. Thanks for joining us on this journey through these underrated K-dramas that deserve way more love. If any of these caught your attention, I highly recommend giving them a chance. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss any future content. See you in the next video.